On November 16, 2025, a seemingly routine flight turned into headline-making drama for television star Porsha Williams. The Real Housewives of Atlanta alumna, aged 45, boarded a Delta Airlines flight from Las Vegas back to Atlanta after attending the high-profile fan event BravoCon 2025. Moments into her return journey, an altercation erupted that would soon draw the attention of the federal authorities. The story begins at the gate of Las Vegas's airport, where Williams took her seat in first class. The catalyst? Her phone, playing Instagram videos at what she says was a standard volume. The passenger seated next to her, however, saw things very differently. She asked Williams, "So you gonna make me listen to that the whole flight?" Williams responded, "Do you want to?" The passenger said no. Williams told police the woman then snapped, "Well, there's a nicer way to say that." Things escalated when the woman allegedly called Williams a bitch. According to the newly released Bodycam footage from the Atlanta Police Department, Williams told officers she was upset by the confrontation, admitting she said to the woman, "Get your ugly ass out of here." Flight attendants intervened, moving the other passenger to a different row because Williams said the woman was irate. Meanwhile, the other side paints a far different picture. The woman alleges the incident began after roughly 25 minutes of Williams's loud phone volume. She claims she asked Williams repeatedly to turn it down. According to her account, Williams then pointed her fingernail so close to her eye that she believed she was about to be physically attacked. She further says Williams knocked her phone out of her hand when she tried to record the situation. She told officers, "I'm afraid she's going to have me killed." Widening the lens, the airport scene in Atlanta becomes important. The plane landed at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, where police met the aircraft and interviewed both women along with multiple witnesses. According to the police, the preliminary investigation indicated a verbal dispute that reportedly escalated into a physical dispute during the inbound flight. No one was arrested at the scene. Instead, the matter was forwarded to the Federal Bureau of Investigation for review, since incidents aboard commercial aircraft fall under federal jurisdiction. Now for the compelling twist. In the Bodycam footage, Williams is being debriefed by officers when two separate passengers approach and defend her. One passenger embraced her and said, "I was there. What I heard was reprehensible. The woman got in your face and gave you the middle finger and was doing things that were completely chaotic to you. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. That's why I'm asking if you're okay. I wouldn't be okay." Another witness, seated 2 rows behind Williams, said straightforwardly she did not touch that lady. He recalled the only physical thing Williams did was point at her. And then, out of nowhere, the lady got really animated and started screaming. That witness said the contention originated when the woman next to Williams began shouting. Williams' attorney, Joe Hibachi, issued a statement on November 18th. He asserted that Williams was verbally assaulted by an irate and unhinged passenger without provocation. The passenger then proceeded to make false allegations that were in direct conflict with observations from several eyewitnesses. He emphasized that Williams intends to fully cooperate with authorities and is confident the other passenger will face charges. Williams herself took to social media shortly afterwards, posting, "Leaving BravoCon, I'm filled with all the love and warmth and support from our beautiful fans. I love me again, and I love you all. No more survival mode. We will thrive. We are kicking depression's ass." Amid her divorce finalization in June 2025 from Simon Guobadia, she framed the incident as part of a turbulent year she is intent on turning around. Public reaction erupted across social media. #Team Porsha supporters point to the Bodycam footage and the passenger statements backing Williams to argue that she was provoked, victimized, and unfairly accused. Some fans applauded her composed exit from the plane, the presence of law enforcement at the gate, and the dozens of witnesses siding with her description. Meanwhile, skeptics raised questions. A celebrity of Williams' stature aboard a commercial flight, playing videos loudly, sitting first class? Was that behavior entitled? The opposing passenger's version of being scared for my life struck a chord among those who said no one deserves to feel unsafe on an airplane. Even some aviation and legal commentators jumped in. They noted that when incidents turn physical or near physical on an aircraft, they trigger heightened scrutiny and can lead to serious consequences. Let's take a closer look at Williams' background because it adds context. She joined the Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2012 and has since developed a major public profile. Her personal life has been high profile too. She married NFL player Cordell Stewart in 2011, divorced 2013, later married Nigerian-born businessman Simon Guobadia in 2022, and filed for divorce in 2024, finalizing it in June 2025. That divorce and subsequent legal entanglements have been well publicized. In that sense, this flight incident enters at a moment when Williams is already under public scrutiny, rebuilding, rebranding, and now dealing with an unexpected crisis at 30,000 feet. Legally speaking, the key issue is what comes next. According to the police release, both women were interviewed and the matter forwarded to the FBI. The FBI's Atlanta office confirmed it is aware of the incident and is looking into whether any federal offenses apply. No arrests or federal charges have yet been announced. From a precedent-setting angle, when a dispute occurs mid-flight, investigators look into potential charges like interference with crew members, disorderly conduct on board an aircraft, or even assault. It's unusual, but not unheard of for such incidents to escalate into formal prosecutions, particularly when there is credible threat, actual injury, or passenger recordings. On this case's timeline, flight on November 16th, incident reported at arrival, statements gathered November 18th, 19th, body cam footage released November 19th, and investigation now ongoing. For Williams, the reputational risk is real. Reality TV stars thrive on unflawed public personas, or at least compelling storylines. Being associated with an in-flight altercation can affect brand deals, invitations to high-profile events, her standing within the Bravo network, and the moral high ground often claimed by reality TV personalities. On the other side, if investigators and camera footage vindicate her version of events, Williams could emerge from this affair with sympathy, the public hero who was verbally assaulted and stood her ground. Let's rewalk the micro-timeline. November 16th, flight departs from Las Vegas to Atlanta. Passenger complains about loud volume. Confrontation begins. Arrival at Hartsfield-Jackson same night. Police meet the plane. November 18th, Williams' attorney issues public statement. November 19th, body cam footage released showing Williams and two passengers backing her version. Investigation forwarded to the FBI. Today, no formal charges, but both narratives now public and scrutiny mounting. What about the other passenger? Her narrative deserves full airing. She says Williams' phone volume lasted 25 minutes. She asked discreetly to be lowered. According to her, Williams then waved her hands, reduced the distance between her fingernail to her eye, knocked Williams' phone out of her hand when she tried to record the situation, and caused her to fear for her life. If these claims are substantiated via audio, video, cabin crew testimony, or medical reports, the legal implications grow. She also claims the flight attendants could not intervene during takeoff because they were buckled in, adding complexity to how responsibility and timeline are assessed. From the cabin perspective, one of the witnesses described the sequence like this. It started like a normal verbal back and forth. Then, the woman sitting beside Williams got really animated, screaming. The only thing Williams did physically was point at her and say, "Don't talk to me like that." Another witness said Williams did not touch the other passenger. These statements run directly against the other passenger's claims. Which side one believe may hinge on how credible the steward attendant statements are, any video footage from the flight itself, how the seat layout and noise level were perceived, and passenger memory. In terms of media amplification, the footage of Williams deboarding the plane with police escort, calm, composed, went viral. Critics of Williams noted that even if she was provoked, she might have diffused the situation more gracefully. Fans of Williams viewed that moment as proof she was calm and professional. Social media filled with memes, first-class catfight, phone volume war at 30K feet. The Bravo World forums lit up with hashtag #FlyQuiet and hashtag Team Porsha hashtags. Brand watchers are now scanning the incident for its ripple effect. Will Bravo public relations treat this as a negative brush that needs damage control, or an event to spin into a narrative of victimization and comeback? Let's talk airline perspective. Delta has said little publicly beyond confirming that 2 passengers were involved and that the flight landed as scheduled. But internal airline protocols require crew reports when there is any altercation, including verbal, between passengers in flight. When cabin crew intervene, they report to flight deck and likely fill in documents. Because this occurred mid-flight, it crosses into federal jurisdiction, hence the FBI's involvement. The path from first complaint, volume too loud, to potential federal charges underlines how even small disputes can escalate in confined spaces like commercial aircraft. The broader implication? Airlines emphasize that passengers must comply with crew instructions, noise policy, headphone use, and respectful behavior. Ignoring that can turn into headline news. From the personal brand side, Williams' comment, "No more survival mode, we will thrive," resonates. She has positioned herself publicly as having endured a difficult year, emerging from her divorce, reclaiming her self-love, and now facing a public adversity. In the world of reality TV, this becomes another chapter in her story. Yet the irony remains, she is a public figure used to controlling narrative, but here the narrative slipped out of her hands and into the hands of federal investigators, bystanders, bodycam footage, and social media. She will now have to manage not just her reaction, but what the public chooses to believe. What happens next? There are several possible scenarios. 1. The FBI declines to file charges, effectively closing the matter. Williams walks away with minor brand damage, but likely emerges stronger, especially if her fan base rallied. 2. The FBI files federal charges, lesser or more serious, which brings her into a legal spotlight, potentially derailing some professional opportunities. 3. It drags on in civils. The other passenger may file a lawsuit for assault or emotional distress. Williams may countersue. Each scenario comes with reputational, financial, and legal risk. Let's also consider the optics. First class versus economy, celebrity versus regular passenger, social influencer versus everyday traveler. Williams is part of a celebrity ecosystem where behavior is magnified, comments are turned into headlines, and flights that might otherwise be mundane become entertainment fodder. The recitation of 25 minutes of loud Instagram video versus verbal assault without provocation will matter when podcast hosts pick this apart, when late-night talk shows reference it, when Bravo producers consider the next season. Humanizing moment, the witness who approached Williams after the altercation and said, "I'm so embarrassed, are you okay?" That moment reveals the emotional toll travel conflict takes on passengers who are simply trying to get from A to B. Whether you're a celebrity or a regular traveler, being in a cabin where voices rise, someone gives you the middle finger, someone points fingers, it becomes emotionally draining. Williams told that witness, "I'm fine," but the witness replied, "I wouldn't be okay." That emotional contrast is powerful. In the broader cultural context, this incident sits alongside other mid-flight dramas, passengers being unruly, airlines issuing bans, regulators imposing fines. But what's different here is the star power and the released bodycam footage. It turns what might have been a footnote into a case study on celebrity conduct, airline protocols, and bystander power. Everyone aboard becomes part of the story. Time should also be spent on how the bodycam footage functions as narrative anchor. Prior to the release of that footage, competing claims collided in darkness. With the footage released and 2 witnesses coming forward to support Williams, the public perception shifts. But even that isn't definitive. Footage captures one moment. Seating charts, sound levels, crew testimony, passenger memories still fill gaps. The frame we saw is what police and news outlets show us now. But behind that lies chaos, noise, fear, emotion. Let's pause on Williams' mindset. Coming off BravoCon 2025, likely high on adrenaline, networking, cameras, fan interactions, then stepped into a 3-hour flight home. She says she was listening to Instagram videos without headphones, perhaps unwinding. The passenger next to her felt disrupted. 2 people's realities clashed. Williams' choice to respond verbally, the passenger's decision to escalate, witnesses' choice to step in, all highlight how quickly civility can unravel in a tight space. Williams said, "Get your ugly ass out of here." That moment will be dissected. Victim's pushback or provocation. The other passenger insisted she felt afraid for my life. That phrasing shifts the tone from rude to threatening. So the question remains, did the volume issue become the spark, or was the volume just pretext for something deeper? Another angle, legal counsel already framing this as assault versus defense. Williams' attorney uses language like verbal assault,
unhinged passenger, false allegations, and observations from eyewitnesses. That language signals they're preparing for more than a casual apology. They're preparing for legal defense. The opposing side uses knocked my phone, fingernail near my eye, afraid for my life. Stronger language invoking fear, potential threat, bodily harm. If this goes to court or settlement, the rhetorical battle is half the fight. Public sentiment will matter a lot. For Williams, the social media narrative could determine a lot of whether she is perceived as a victim, as a provocateur, or as somewhere in between. The brand ecosystem, Bravo, advertising deals, speaking engagements, often weighs public image heavily. If the narrative becomes oversensitive celebrity misbehaves, that could hurt. If the narrative becomes famous woman verbally attacked and stood her ground, she may benefit. The fact that the Bodycam witnesses sided with her already gives her an advantage in that narrative fight. Let's not forget that this occurs in the context of a recent divorce. Williams' public statement referenced healing, coming out of survival mode, stepping into thriving. For many fans, that sets the stage. This incident could become the next chapter, a challenge to overcome. Critics might say, why is she drawing attention? Why is she playing videos loudly in first class? All of that now intersects. Coming back to aviation policy, airlines emphasize headphone use, attention to volume, and respect for adjacent passengers. What this incident shows is when a passenger violates those norms, a dispute may begin. When another passenger responds aggressively, a matter escalates. When the celebrity factor kicks in, the visuals roll, authorities step in, federal jurisdiction appears. It's a microcosm of larger issues: entitlement, noise pollution, respect, conflict resolution. The cabin environment is a pressure cooker. Limited space, noise, nerves, flights overbooked, delays, stress. A misunderstanding fuels a shouting match. On this flight, it arguably became more. What lessons might viewers walk away with? Respect your neighbor's space. Volume matters. De-escalation matters. Flight attendants are there for more than coffee. If you're a public figure, your actions, even behind a screen on your phone, can have outsized consequences. And for onlookers, videos, body cams, audio capture everything. The truth may end up on the record. Now let's look ahead. In the immediate next few weeks, we should watch for whether the FBI announces any charges or declines to prosecute, any civil lawsuits filed by the other passenger, statements or interviews from Williams in subsequent episodes of RHOA or talk shows, potential social media posts or brand deal cancellations, and whether Delta or other airlines issue internal memos about cabin behavior highlighted by this incident. Any one of these could shift the narrative significantly. Williams may also appear in Bravo's upcoming season, and this incident could become part of the storyline, either as background or as plot device. Have fans forgotten that Williams began her public career on The Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2012, that she has built a brand, engaged in activism, and developed a following? Many fans will support her now, citing longevity, right to unwind after a big event, and unfair treatment by a stranger. Others will question, why is she drawing attention? Why is she playing videos loudly in first class? All of that now intersects. In closing, we're watching a story in real time. A reality TV star turned traveling commuter, a dispute over volume, an alleged verbal assault, a frightened passenger, eyewitness defenders, law enforcement intervention, body cams, federal investigators, public opinion. The pieces are still falling into place. The truth may lie somewhere in the middle, but one thing is certain: this will be cited in future when celebrities fly, when passengers clash, when phones play loud, when cabin tempers flare. For Porsha Williams, this flight may become one of the defining inflection points of her public narrative. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.